Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now we will continue our topic in the lecture of the enterprise analysis and design courses. The topic is aspect of economy and finance. What we will discuss is the second part actually. We previously already discussed about what is the main important thing when we want to learn about the analysis of the economic aspect. However, this particular topic is regarding the how to evaluate investment. So there are several approach or method that we can use, that I believe you can also found them in other courses, in the previous courses, which is like the engineering, economic, etc. But so this is to remind you again on how to use it. Okay. So as we know that the goal of the analysis of the finance aspect is to find out the estimated funding and project business cash flow so that it can be known whether or not the intended business plan is feasible. So basically we try to, before the business is started, we try to have some kind of a understanding whether this will be profitable or not. We don't want to make a loss, right? So if we or make an investment and turn out it's not profitable, then we will make a loss. So is it possible? The question will be, is it possible for us to somehow know or predict at the beginning before we start whether this is profitable or not? So there are several evaluation investment. So whether to make for us to try to grasp whether our investment that we want to make in the business will be profitable or not, there are five that I want to introduce. I want to discuss with you, which is first the NPV, then ERR, PCR, payback period, and PEP. We will discuss at them one by one later on. But just to remind you again, because it's also started in the engineering economic courses, I want to remind you again about some fundamental principle that we already know when we learn engineering economic. First is that money now is worth more than money. So this is a principle in engineering economic and also in investment. So the first, money now is worth more than money later. All that count. Secondly, I mean, what for the first principle, what does it mean? It means that if our meaning that money in the later has less value than now, because the value of the money is diminishing. We will know about that. Why is it like that later? The second, all that count is the difference among alternative. So there are many alternative of investment, right? So we try to look out for the differences, because for the main purpose of investment is always make a profit, right? Sometimes they are the same. However, what we're looking for is what makes them differ. So we choose the best one, right, between all those differences. Number three is the marginal revenue must exceed marginal cost. So revenue should exceed the cost. For the additional risk is not taken without expected additional return. So every investment contains risk. The bigger the risk, usually the bigger the gain. However, we need to make sure that the risk that will be taken will have additional return. That is the idea. So we always make a profit. That's the principle. So the basic concept, we check the base cash flow, the interest rate, and time value of money, and equivalent technique. So to know about this, there are basic concepts that we need to know, which is the cash flow, the interest rate, and time value of money, and then equivalent technique. So I will go briefly about this and quickly so that we can just reminisce again about what is this topic are. As you can see, here is the cash flow diagram. So for example, there is a case like that. A man borrowed $1,000 from a bank at 8% interest to end year of payment. At the end of the first year, he will repay half of the 1,000 principal plus the interest that is due. all the end of the second year, he will repay the remaining half plus the interest for the second year. So how can we try to visualize or model these cases so that we know what is the actual cash flow? So we know that cash flow from this problem is that uh, uh, we want to know the end year cash flow. So the 1,000, but this 1,000 is pay let someone borrow and then he want to return them two times, right? The first is contain the interest for the whole one, while the rest is interest after the half part of the money that he already return part of it. So he used the money to buy a machine for his factory. At the end of the second year, the machine was sold for 200. So in here, there is also additional case where the machine is, the machine is and the economic value of the machine will end at the end of the second year, and it's approximately the value is 200. So when we try to model them using the cash flow diagram, it will look like this. So as you know, in year zero, there are additional cash in of $1,000 coming from loan. And then every year, for 2 years, there will be cash out, meaning he need to pay the half of the principal and also added by the interest. It's like it look like this, but at the end of the year, at the second year, there is an economic value of the the what we call it. There are $200 cash also coming because we sell the uh the asset that we use the money to buy. So it will be like this. The interest rate is 8%. So when we try to make uh what do you call it? When cash flow diagram, it will look like this. Okay. Now we continue to the time value of money. So this is also one of the principle when we do investment. So yeah, this is what known in the world. Okay. So the time value of money, it says that the change in the amount of money over a period of time is called the time value of money. A rupiah or a currency received at some future date is not worth as much as rupiah in hand at present. Money makes money if invested. So that basically is this is came from the third principle that when money invested, it will give us a return. I mean, will give us another money. That's why when we invest money, we expect in the future the money will grow, right? Therefore, the money now will be different with the money in the future, meaning that the money that is worth now will be the will be equivalent to the more money in the future. Like for example, like this. So the value of the money, if you put like for example, $100 in a bank at 9% interest rate for one time period, you will receive back your original 100 plus 9%. Like that's the idea, right? If in the future it will be 100 times 9%, you will get 109. So the equivalency of the money now, 100, is the same as 109 in the future, meaning that the value of money is decreasing in the future because nowadays in the day it will be more expensive. So this leads us to some additional term, which is the interest and also interest rate. So the interest is what we get after we invest our money, while interest rate is the percentage of what we get. Usually they are counted in per year annually. And there is also a minimum attractive rate of return. So this is basically when we want to invest, what is the minimum rate that make us attracted to invest in that place, in that particular business or or investment commodity. So there you can have the mark can come from different different type of cases. Firstly, you can also consider the mark is like it should be based on the percentage of rate of return of deposit, or perhaps a saving in the bank. So, or you can use the same industry. So for the same type of industry, how much is the average rate of return? You can use that, or you can decide by your own. I mean, the management or the owner can decide. So this is the minimum attractive rate of return. So if the investment will go higher than that, then we will accept. If it's lower, then it's not worth to pursue. That's the idea. And the equivalency. So this is also important. So previously I said that the money now is better than the money in the future, because the money now, let's say 100, it will be only worth, it will worth the same as 109 in the future if the interest rate is 9%. So as we can see, there are comparison between in today and also in the future, or perhaps there is also in today and in the past. Those kind of things, although they are different, we can try to compare them and try to find out how much is the same, how much is the equivalency of the value between those different type of era, right? So leads us to the next term, which is the equivalent. So equivalent is dependent on interest rates. So depending on the interest rates, the equivalency will differ. That's the idea. Because the interest rate will be used to calculate the equivalency. There are different way to calculate. One of them is compound interest formula, like this one, and there are many actually. So this is the example. So in here we want to know there are two plans. The first plan is that every year we actually get money, let's say 1,000 dollar money for 5 year at the same number. The second one is that we have money in year zero, right at the moment 5,000. Which one is the higher value? Which one is the higher value? If we don't use the time concept of time value of money, the value will be the same, right? Because when we add them, the plan one, it's still the same 5,000 with the plan two, it's still the same. However, if we use the equivalency, or based on the rate of interest, then it will differ, as you can see here. So for example, in plan one, meaning that, so if we receive like $1,000 for per year for 5 times, how much is actually the equivalency of the money at the moment if we want to calculate them using like 10% rate of interest? It will be different, right? So we need to calculate. So the equivalency of that case is actually using 10% interest rate is only 3,791. So if we receive now 5,000 compared to we receive 1,000 annually. So if we convert them into now, then we only receive 3,791. That's why we prefer to receive 5,000 now if we want to know, if we want to choose. The other way around, if we need to pay, I think if we need to pay, the second, the first scenario, the first plan is better, because we are now become the party, or the side that has benefit from this scenario. This is another example on how to calculate them. We can use the spreadsheet, Excel, etc. But basically, or we can follow the formula. It's like this. So we can use Excel. So basically, using Excel, we only need to choose whether we want to use present value or past, at this kind of thing. Okay, if we already already refreshen ourselves with the previous concept, now we will go to the actual investment evaluation. So the first one that I will use is the net present value (NPV) analysis. The net present value analysis. Basically, in this net present value analysis, we try to uh, calculate the value of all of the cash flow that we have in the present value. So the idea is like this: if we create a business and in the long run we will get a profit in the long run every year, and how about if we try to calculate it now, how much is actually that we get, right? Because we know that nowadays value is will be bigger than in the future. So but we want to try to collect them all up into now so that we can compare them. So in here, as you can see here, if we have a projection of a revenue and cost, etc., until like 5-year period, try to uh, try to uh, combine them, or try to look for the equivalency in the present value. That's the idea. And then try to reduce between the revenue and also the cost, whether we still make a profit or not, or how much profit that we will get. That can be done with NBV. NBV is a straightforward, and then usually we use cash flow. So we know about one of the financial statement cash flow. We can use them to do net present value analysis. The second one is the internal rate of return. So this is rate of return for the internal. So indicator of the level of efficiency of an investment. A project can be done if the rate of return is greater than the rate of return if it's spending elsewhere, interest on bank deposit, mutual fund, etc. So this is basically follow the second principle, where we investment is basically there are so many alternatives and we choose which one is the better between those alternatives, right? ERS is guideline value that is identical to how much interest rate that can be given. And using to calculate ERR, we usually compare with the MAR, with the minimum effective rate of return. We already discussed this. So if NPV is 0, then it's basically in 5 years we only cover our cost. So if in the ERR, we use the NPV is the same as 0. So that is the standard. And then we will calculate how much is the percentage of ERR and then compare with the MARR, whether it is actually bigger or not. If it's bigger, then we choose those business that has ERR. If not, then okay, yeah, we usually choose the conventional investment. So this is the calculation step of ERR. Prepare a class flow, and then try to look for a discount factor, or some kind of an interest rate that make the NBV is 0. That's the idea. And then we will know that, okay, that's interest rate is the ERR value. Or you can use this following formula using this, the NBV. Okay. And then we will get, this is the example. A project is expected to have a net present value $865 at a discount rate of 20% and a negative NPV of 1040 at a discount rate to 22%. Try to calculate the ERR. So basically, we try to calculate them and found using interpolation, we found that, oh, this is actually the ERR, like that one in the that I mentioned here, following following this calculation formula. So this is the 20.91%. So that's the ERR. Another example. Okay. So the about ERR, basically in here this give us percentage, of course. This give us percentage. Using the percentage, sometimes we also help. It can also help us to 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 make calculation or to assist our decision making. Next, we will discuss about the benefit cost ratio. Okay, so the benefit cost ratio is usually used if the project itself is or the project or the that we want to calculate the financial aspect itself is not actually having a profitable mindset. Like there are some project which is like they are meant not as a way to earn profit, but they can be used to help the people. Usually they are from government, like building roads, the normal roads. When we try to do project for the normal road, it is hard for us to calculate the revenue that we will get, because the revenue that we'll get is actually basically just giving giving the benefit to the people. So if this case of thing happen, then we can use benefit cost ratio. So BCR or benefit ratio is indicator used on cost benefit analysis. BCR is a comparison of the benefit derived from the capital spend. All profit and capital value are expressed in the present value. The higher the value of BCR, the more profitable the investment. So basically, we are trying to compare between the benefit and the cost. And if it's bigger, the benefit, then it is better. Sometimes the benefit, we can try to calculate them try to transform all of the benefit and worth and value them using money. So this is also possible, but sometimes we cannot use like revenue or this kind of thing. But somehow we just try to calculate the benefit, and then we try to calculate the cost, all of the total cost, and then put them into into present, using present value. And then later on we just compare those things, and then okay, we can do analysis regarding the PCR criteria. If it's more and one, or if the ratio value is uh, one or better than one or higher than one, then it is acceptable. It's not, then it's not feasible, basically like that. This is for the example. So when we purchase a machine for 20 million and will enable the company to save like 6 million per year, it is estimated to use ADR 4 million. If the company owner wants a return of at least 15% per year, is the purchase of the machine feasible? As you can see in here, the benefit itself is not only from the revenue that we get, but also from the saving, because we use good technology. You may save. So saving is something that is kind of a bit vague, but we know that when we do saving, actually we are not losing money, right? So basically that somehow is a benefit. So we can add them like this. So we try to add the saving that we got, and then uh, the revenue that we also got in the future, and then try to uh, make them uh, later on. And then yeah, you can just divide them between the benefit and the total benefit and the total cost, and then see whether the ratio is bigger than one or not. So I give you another example that you can learn by yourself later on. You just try to look for this, and then, okay. So this is another example. If it's less than one, it's not a good one. Another example. Okay. Oh, that's all from BCR. Okay. Yeah. Next, I want to continue with the payback period. Payback period in the concept is just that now it's not about the money, but about the time. So using the time, we also, when we do investment, we know that the value of the money in the future will be less than the money now, meaning that the more we wait for the investment, then it is the less the value of the the return of the investment. Therefore, if the investment can be, if the capital that we spend or the investment that we make can be returned as in a short time and in a shortest time, then it will be good. So payback period calculate how long that we can get our return from our the investment that we spend. Payback period is a period that is needed to able to recoup investment expand by using net cash flow. Thus, the payback period of an investment illustrates the length of time required for fund that is invested or to be fully recovered. So you can use this calculation. So basically, when we want to do payback period, the we just try to we try to look for how as fast as possible. So this is the equation. So we can do a payback period by uh, by dividing our initial investment with the cash flow that we get with the net cash flow. So this is the example. Alternative to use the same period. Entrepreneurs were given two choices for investing the money to company with the detail of the estimated cash flow during 5 years as following. As you can see, there are two types of scenario, current cash 1 and current cash 2. So in the first one, as you can see, he 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 kind of invest 1.2 million rupiah, but then he will get earning in the next 5 year, although the number is different between each year. Okay, and then the second one, he spent like 2.8 million with the same earning every year in the starting from the first year. So the payback period analysis by ignoring the time value this is ignoring time value of money, and this counted payback analysis with interest rate of 12 year and present worth analysis with 12% of year. So when we try to calculate them, it will look like this. And you can just try to, the simple one is just try to how what is the fastest time we try to we cover the 1.2 million, the investment that we need. You can just add them. You can just add them. If we don't want to include the rate of interest, you can just add them. Like for example, in the case of the first one, how long that we can cover the 1.2 million? Like you just add 400 plus 400, then it's still not yet because it's still 800. But then when you add 1 million, then it will be 180 million. So 1.2 million is somewhere between 2 and 3. That's the idea. Well, for the second one, it will be 2, 5. Yeah, it's the same. But later on, you can also compare them if you want to use the interest rate. Basically, if you want to use the interest rate, we try to make the future earning into a present value, and then try to calculate them using that. Okay, this is the example. You can just try read this in your material. That's the concept. This is just many example. Now is about the break-even point. So break-even point is another one of the analysis of investment. Basically, this is about how much is the production that we need to make. so that our operational can be break even, meaning that if we can sell this in this number that are already calculated using BEP, meaning that our operation is already actually the sales is already cover our operation, and the more product that we can sell above the number of the BPE is all calculated as a profit. That's the idea. So we can try to calculate the BEP using unit or using the value, because there are different way. Usually, if we have a homogeneous product, then we can use by unit. However, if we have so heterogeneous product, or we have so many variant of product, we can use the value based one. So that's the idea. Okay, if there is no more questions, I think that's all of the lecture that I can give you for this topic. I hope it will be useful for you. To just remind you again, I believe all of those technique or those method that I mentioned here is something that we already learned in industrial engineering in previous courses, but the important one is how to use them in a set with the other aspects, so that we can do thorough calculations on preparing the business that we want to create. I think that's all from me. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.